live ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
It is a Wednesday, October 22nd edition of the program. Welcome into Hoist the Colors. During an ECU football bye week, of course, we had ECU basketball media day on Tuesday. We'll continue some of that coverage today. We'll introduce you to Eli DeLaurier and Isaiah Mbang. Transfers from Providence and William and Mary, respectively. We'll play those interviews towards the back half of the show. We're also going to catch up with Kevin Monroe, former ECU cornerback and also current analyst on the ECU Sports Network, to get his take on the win over Tulsa and look ahead to the final 5 games of the season. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you got a question, comment, concern, drop it in the chat. We'll get to it over the course of the next hour. As always, we will let your questions kind of guide where the show goes, although we're going to start today with an interesting topic as well. Download the IBX Media app to get our latest shows, along with the Patrick Johnson Show, Talk of the Town, the Logan Zone, which will be back Thursday night at 5 o'clock, and also all of our programming, including Inside Powered Athletics, every Monday from Tiebreakers with Blake Carroll. Philip Pilkington is back in the 94.3 The Game studios. He took in some college basketball last night. He went to UCF Duke, a scrimmage, but hey, an open scrimmage. I'm still waiting for the days, Philip, where we get, and Mike Schwartz did say that it was coming to ECU, but we need some open scrimmages for the Pirates because I know they scrimmaged Wake Forest over the weekend. Didn't seemingly go too well, according to some Wake Forest reports. We really haven't heard too much on the ECU end, but ready for some of these things to be shown in the light so we can make some evaluations. But until then, for ECU at least, we're waiting until Tuesday, November 4th. But how was your college basketball experience last night?
It was good. It's nice that you can have these games. I wish every team would do it. Not only can fans go, but it's televised. There's a lot of big games going on around the country now for preseason games. They'll put them on TV. They've even had some in the past where they're they're raising money for different charities and things like that. So it was good. It was good to be back. It was good to see some college basketball. It didn't really hit me till I guess yesterday morning that college basketball really is that close. Darren Vaught walked in and was like, dude, we got a game in 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, we do. I think maybe these Thursday night games have kind of, got us off our mojo, Stephen, and we haven't really thought about the fact that basketball is as close as it is. But here it is, and it was fun to watch college basketball because we all know in North Carolina, college basketball is king.
Less than 2 weeks, so East Carolina opens play against Georgia Southern, and looking forward to continue to. We'll have breakdowns of the team. We'll have Kason Romeli join us tomorrow, which, by the way, we are scheduled to talk with ECU offensive coordinator John David Baker as well for tomorrow's program. So looking forward to catching up with JDB. One of the first things I'm going to ask him is how much does he miss talking to us every week. So looking forward to that conversation as we haven't had our usual press conferences this year. But let's talk some football now. It is a bye week, and we did a lot of discussion during the team's earlier bye week in October. But this is a little bit of a different topic I wanted to tackle out of the gate today. And, of course, you guys can weigh in as well. Simple topic is, which ECU football players do we want to see more of over the final 5 games? We now have a 7-game sample size. We know, for the most part, what guys have performed well, what guys have been inconsistent but have shown flashes, and then what guys have not kind of lived up to what we thought. So we can get into just kind of a personnel discussion here. We'll start with the offense, and Philip and I we'll volleyball this thing back and forth and kind of give some takes on what we want to see more of. And I guess I'll let you lead it off, man. I'll let you have the floor. I've got plenty of names in mind, but I'll let you start it off. Who do you want to see more of over these final 5 games for ECU's offense?
That's a tough one, Stephen, because it's certain things you want to see, right? You want to see the ball push the ball down the field more. So, you want to see more explosion in the running game. So it's like, dang, who do I signal out? You don't want to single out one guy when it comes to these kinds of things, but I do want to see the ball thrown on the field more. We saw it more against Tulsa, so with that being said, I'm just going to go to the default answer and say Anthony Smith. And I'm not saying that Anthony's necessarily playing bad, but you want to see the playbook open up, stretch the defense a little more, and he's going to be the first guy that you look to do that? I mean, will it be great if you can get some deep passes to other guys? Of course it is, but that's going to be the number one guy, I think. And kind of with that, like you almost kind of rope in Caton Hauser to it, right? You want to see Caton throw the ball down the field more. This is an offense who was very good at explosive plays a year ago, and it seems like they just haven't quite had that this year. Of course, against Tulsa, they finally opened it up, and now 16 days off here, maybe you can, I wouldn't say implement more plays. Anything you're running at this point was implemented in spring ball and in camp, but, can you work them into the game plan maybe a little bit more?
So I'm looking at the numbers by Pro Football Focus, and looks like 30%. Anthony Smith says 17 targets beyond 20 yards. That was over 7 games, so really just over 2 a game. What do we want? We want to see that number rise to what? 4 or 5 a game? I mean, I think, you're looking at the numbers. He has 17 targets over 20 yards, 3 touchdowns. Obviously, 2 of those came in the most recent contest against Tulsa. But that's where he's grading out the highest. Would you like it to be 4 or 5 times a game? And I'm with you. I think I want to see more of that as well.
I think 4 or 5 is realistic, right? I mean, if you can find a way to do it more, of course, that's always a good thing. I mean, you don't want to cap it by any means, but I think that's the number that you want to see it rise to, just kind of realistically. But not all football games are created equal; they're a little different. But I do think you're gonna have to score some points to beat Temple. That offense is looking good, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle Tulsa this week. But I think if it's not 4 or 5, you're gonna struggle to win some of those games you really need to win to be back in that conversation of the conversation you want to be in, like wins at UTSA, wins home against Memphis. If you don't get that number up to at least 4 or 5, you just don't feel as good about winning those 2 football games.
I'm going to go with the other Smith, Yannick Smith, as a guy I just want to see the ball thrown to more. He has 38 targets, which ranks second on the team. 30 catches, that's a 79% catch rate. So basically, I want to say that leads the team. Brock Spalding was leading the team in target rate, catch rate. That has since changed. Yannick Smith, 38 targets, 30 catches, 374 yards. He has the most catches in traffic on the team. He has caught 9 of 14 catches in traffic. So basically, he's a 50-50 ball for Yannick Smith is more than a 50-50 ball. It's more like a 65%. So here's my thing with Yannick Smith. He doesn't get a ton of separation, but he reminds me a lot of C.J. Johnson in that if he has one-on-one coverage, he can contort his body and use his hands in good enough ways to make tough catches. So Yannick Smith, over the last 3 games, since the BYU game, where he had 9 catches for 146 yards on 10 targets, he had 4 targets versus Tulane, 3 catches, 4 targets versus Army, 3 catches, and 2 targets versus Tulsa for 4 yards with 1 catch. Now, a lot of that was due to he was covered by Elijah Green, but I want to see Yannick Smith get more volume because I feel like he's a guy that has consistently made catches when the ball is thrown his way. Now, we both have thrown out Anthony Smith and Yannick Smith, 2 of your top receivers, so obviously, you can't feed them every game, but I feel like with Anthony deep and with Yannick with the contested catches, we want to see more from the passing game. All right, anybody else offensively, Philip, you want to see more of?
I don't have a guy in this position group, but I want to see an established number 1 back. And I'm not saying we can't have a 1-2 punch, but you still want that guy like, hey, man, it's 3rd down and 6. There's 2 minutes and 56 seconds left in the game. Other teams maybe got 1 timeout, maybe no timeouts. Who am I giving the ball to get the first down, to ice the game? I still need to know who that guy is. I feel like even when we had Keaton and Rajay, it kind of felt like that guy was Keaton. And a lot of teams, even when they got a 2-headed monster, you feel like you still know who the true number 1 is in those kind of situations. And I just have no idea who that is. So I don't care who it is. So I'm not really calling out any one player. I just want to see it happen.
I'm with you. I think if I had to pinpoint a guy, it would be Marlon Gunn. I just feel like he's ran really well and hasn't necessarily gotten a game where like, all right, Marlon, we're going to ride you. And maybe that's due to his injury history. But, Marlon and TJ Engelman, obviously London had a tremendous game against Tulsa, but I just feel like both those guys at some point are going to get a hot hand as well and kind of have a breakout game instead of a breakout quarter, so to speak, like we've seen. I'm going to go back to receiver real quick because, like, offensive line for me, I think they're kind of playing who they have to. I mean, I would like to see a little bit more of Marleo Neolian, but he struggled against Tulane his first career start, and that's kind of out of necessity. They're a little banged up at tackle. So I'm going to go back to receiver, and I'm just going to be honest. Jaquez Petaway has been a little bit of a disappointment. So if Brock Spalding is still banged up after the bye, I want to see more Peyton Mangrum, the South Carolina transfer. I feel like he has been a guy that has quietly had some very solid moments. Now, he's had a few holding penalties, I believe, which have been backbreakers, so got to get those corrected. And maybe that's on special teams. I can't remember. But I think he had one out wide as well at one point. But when he is in the game, he just seems to make plays. And then the other guy for me is Mike Wright. I still want to see more Mike Wright, and we saw that against Tulsa, Phillip. But I think I'm hoping that's just kind of the beginning. And there is a fine line between overusing a guy like that, but still, like, the fact that he can play, I guess at this point on either side of the ball is worth watching these final 5 games.
Yeah, I think he was a gunner at one time on special teams last game too. So he can play on all 3 sides of the ball. So I do want to see more of Mike, but also it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like that's more on the coaching staff more than it is on Mike. It's not like Mike is underperforming when he's in the game. We just haven't seen him get the opportunities we would like to see him. And I'm not like bagging on the coaches by any means, but I'm just saying, like, I guess that's part of the reason I didn't have him on my list today is because like I said, sometimes when it's like, hey man, it's just the way the coaches have written the game plan. I guess you don't want to call out the young man, but I guess that's kind of the point of the segment as well.
All right, a couple comments before we move to defense. Sir Cookie Pants says TJ Engelman, need more Engelman. He's got wiggle. And then Johnny Robertson says he agrees 100% with Yannick Smith. He had 10 targets, 9 receptions, and 146 yards against BYU. Since then, he has 10 targets overall in 3 games for 7 receptions and 92 yards. So more Yannick we're calling for. By the way, his brother has left the North Carolina football team, Yasir Smith, so keep an eye on that. We'll see if he ends up at ECU as well. All right, defensively, man, ECU already plays so many guys on defense. It's just like, who do we want to see more of on that side of the ball? I'll lead it off here, and I'll lead with corner. With Rashid Reason out, Tamir Brown's going to play. I want to see more of the freshman Darion Horsley, who got in at the end of the game against Tulsa in the fourth quarter and looked good. He's a 6'2", 190-pound corner. Yes, he's raw. Yes, he's a true freshman. But I've seen enough of the other corners, or lack thereof at this point, to say, hey, let's give Horsley some of these reps. Yes, he's going to probably make some mistakes, but I'm fine with him learning under the fire. I think he's got the most upside in the room. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing the other freshman, Angelo Ross, if they deem him ready. And then also Keith Crowell is a young corner that is a true sophomore, I think has some ability too. So I just want to see more personnel at corner come out of the bye week, Phillip. How about you defensively? What are you looking for?
I still think I'm ready to see who's kind of the 6th guy on the defensive line as far as our 2 interior positions. Coach Tesh generally likes to have 3 guys at each spot. I feel like there's 5 right now because I feel like, obviously you got the starters in Zion and JD. I think Rosebloom and Carr have been good, and I like Justin Benton. Who kind of becomes the next guy? Is it Brazel? Who is it? Is it Javon Williams? Like, somebody else needs to kind of step up there. That way we can rotate a true, because sometimes it's, okay, the first 2 guys will play, the second 2 guys will play, and then there's only a third. When the third comes out, there's only, he comes out with one of the guys who is a starter or whatever. It's like we need one more guy where I feel like we've got 3 true pairs. I think that's something we've had for so much of the time with Roy Tesh and as the interior defensive line coach. We need to get back to that.
Yeah, because they've had to really play JD inside a lot, and I guess Xavier McIver would be that guy. But I've heard Phillip, he had knee surgery. I've heard it just has not progressed super well, so we'll see coming out of the bye. But I'm hoping he gets back. He just played in the NC State game. He's been out since, and they were hoping to get him back for Tulane. It just hasn't happened. So
I don't
know.
Pretty sure it was just first, but either way, it's less than 4. So just saying, I know he's been in school a long time, but if it's going to be one of those things where it's that long, obviously it's the young man's decision. But if he can get that extra year, why not?
Yeah, he would be coming back for a 7th year at that point if he does. So that would be crazy. So we'll keep an eye on the Xavier McIver situation. A few more guys from me, and then we'll get a break in, is, Jordan David Miles at linebacker has been a freshman who has played a decent amount through a handful of games, 3 games defensively, also playing a lot of special teams, so he's not going to redshirt. A name that I have been impressed with at nickel is Josh Benton, who started at safety as a walk-on from Jacksonville, then went to running back, and then he went to nickel early this season. He's been a bigger guy who's made some plays against the run. Wouldn't mind seeing him more out of the bye week as well. And then, Kendrick DeJour has kind of disappeared. He hasn't played in the last 2 games. So I don't know what's going on outside linebacker with him. It's just been Raheem Craig and Julian Davis. So maybe coming out of the bye, they get DeJour back as well. I don't know what exactly is going on there. But we like what we saw from him early in the season.
I loved him. Through about the BYU game, I would say. And then ever since then, it's kind of been a little, where's Kendrick DeJour?
Yeah, the last time he played, according to PFF, 5 snaps against Tulane, has not appeared. I guess he did not play versus Army, and he did not play against Tulsa, I should say. So 2 out of the last 3 games defensively. So anybody else that we're leaving out? Do we need more Mike Wright at cornerback? People want to know.
Do we? I mean, hey, I've never seen him out there in man coverage, so I don't 100% know, but I've liked his energy. Man, he got off the ball so fast. If it wouldn't have been a screen pass the other way, I think he could have been credited with the QB pressure on that play. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I just want to see Mike Wright on the field. I don't care if he's the quarterback. I don't care if he's the cornerback. He can be the darn punter for all I care. I just want to see Mike Wright on the field.
Mike Wright, punt returner. Let's make it happen as well. All right, we got to get a break.
Returner. I was saying I don't care if he's the punter, but punt returner. That's it.
I mean, hell, with the way they've been punting, maybe they can give that a shot too. See if he can kick it farther than 35 yards. But all right, we got to get a break in. And when we come back, we got Kevin Monroe on the other side, ECU Sports Network analyst. He will join us after this.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. You get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into a Wednesday edition of Hoist the Colors. It is an open day, but we're still catching up with ECU Sports Network analyst Kevin Monroe. Pirates off a 41-27 win over Tulsa, 4-3. Heading into the open date, and we've got KMO on the line now, and we'll look back at kind of the first 7 games as a whole in a bit, Kevin. But look, always tough to take care of business when you're heavily favored. ECU did that with a 2-touchdown win. Just what were some of your overall thoughts coming out of the Tulsa game?
Well, I was excited. Second half of the last game, that I felt like the Tulane game. I felt like the running game had turned a corner. That Engelman had ran the ball well, and it looked like we kind of figured something out. So I was really hoping that in this Tulsa game that the Pirates would continue to try to get the run game going, and that's exactly my biggest takeaway from this game is the way they ran the football. I was just, I was excited to see them. London Montgomery, ran like somebody whose position was now being challenged by Engelman, and Engelman still came in there and had 10 carries for 40 yards, and Marlon Gunn ran hard, and so. Overall, 200 yards of rushing or whatever that number was, it made things a lot easier on Caden Hauser and his receiving crew because they were able to get open, get downfield on some play action stuff, and so having the big plays out of Anthony Smith, and that all comes from being able to run the football. So. Mainly offensively, getting that running game going was my biggest takeaway, and we know that Caden Hauser and the receivers are going to play well once that happens. So glad to see that. And then defensively, we still have some issues, in the back end, some kind of breakdowns, but I like to see the pressure on the quarterback. Got some sacks this game. We hadn't had those in a while. Up front, guys are playing well, played well against the run. So if you can just tidy up the back end, I think this will be, an unbelievable defense. Still, in terms of giving up points, they're still doing pretty good overall. So impressive victory. Home win. You got a whole court in the conference at home. So I was excited to see it.
568 yards of offense for ECU, including that 268 on the ground. And Kevin, we saw explosive plays not only in the passing game with Anthony Smith, but you mentioned the running game. London Montgomery with a 51-yard run, the longest of the year by ECU. And I don't know, didn't it feel like kind of the second half of last season? And this was around the time Blake took over, and they were explosive on offense and high up tempo. I don't know, is that encouraging? Maybe they just wait till midseason to really start humming on offense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Blake took over, the second half of the year, and I think he's won, 9 or 10 games since he's been at the helm over the last, year and a half or so, or 1 year total, I guess, at this point. And so just it's been impressive to see what they are capable of doing, and just offensively, they've got the weapons. Even though some people, like Petaway haven't quite shown up yet, Spalding and Anthony Smith and Yannick Smith and Connor and Riles at tight end, and then the 3 or 4 running backs, depending on who's on that day, they're all playing really, really well. And it makes the offensive line even look better because we thought, maybe the offensive line isn't very good at running blocking, and we saw Engelman come in, and he's averaging over 4 yards a carry when he plays. So we realized that maybe it was just certain running backs weren't seeing the holes, weren't hitting the holes. And so now that that's working, the offensive line looks pretty good. So, yeah, overall, it's a very explosive offense, a hard offense to stop. And Caden Hauser is just playing really, really well. When he takes care of the football, which he does in most games, he's one of the best in the country.
Kevin Monroe with us, ECU Sports Network analyst. And unfortunate news, Rashid Reason, cornerback, going to be out a while with a fractured fibula, according to head coach Blake Harrell. And it looked like watching the game, Kevin, that Jordy Lowry, who started in his place, just I don't know, looked unsure of himself at corner, and he was a guy they were really high on getting out of the portal from Western Carolina, was an All-American at the FCS level, and just, I don't know, did you notice anything watching number 15, first time playing in a while, And where do you think they kind of go at corner from here?
Yeah, I think he started game one, and maybe even game two. But they kind of found out right away that maybe he wasn't quite ready. Maybe it's too big for him right now. And at Western Carolina, they play good football, and the difference is usually an offensive and defensive lineman at the FCS level. It's not usually the skill position players. You can find fast guys with good hands and good athletes at every level. So I'm sure he faced a lot of good receivers. Generally, you don't have guys that are 6'2", 6'3", running 4'4", 4'5" at FCS, but you're going to have fast, quick receivers that can catch the football. And so he had a challenging task to guard those guys as well. But it's just different, when you're playing in front of 40,000, 50,000 game in and game out, and the pressure's on. And every week you're playing against good receivers. There's never a week where you're playing against a guy that's just okay. Maybe that can get too big for you. So, I think, they have to just kind of mix some guys in. We've seen a lot of different guys. I think they feel pretty good about Tamir Brown, obviously. And they're just going to have to continue to mix in. Chance Graves played a little bit. They're going to have to just find the right mix. I'm not so sure that is it Ridley, the number 2? I always forget his.
Yeah, Jamali Riddle.
Riddle. Sorry, Jamali Riddle. I'm not so sure he couldn't play corner if they needed him to. So who knows how they'll move things around to get it figured out. But I think the good news is the safeties are really good back there, and so they can always cheat over to help one of the corners if they need to. But they like what they're seeing from Tamir Brown, and they'll just kind of build around those three and get the next guy up to try to figure it out.
Yeah, Kevin, I was going to ask, that we've made such a big deal about the portal. I mean, that's what we talk about every offseason, who's coming, who's going. And, Tegan Wilk, when he came back, it was kind of like, all right, we kind of know what Tegan is. He's a run stopper. He's a guy. He's a veteran. He struggles to stay healthy at times. And I don't know, people were excited about his return, but I feel like it's been even more important than everyone initially thought. He has just been steady as a rock back there at that safety position and just – a calming presence. I don't know, do you kind of get the same vibe watching him on the back end?
He's just really smart, right? He's a really smart football player, and, the hardest thing about playing DB is knowing where to be and when you're supposed to be there, because especially at safety, you have to be able to protect the pass in the deep end, but you also have to come up and to help out in the run game. And so Tegan always seems to be there when there needs to be a big hit made. He's making it. When there's somebody who needs to be over top, he's back there deflecting the pass or almost picking one off, and he'll come up and make tackles. And so, yeah, I think having him back there, kind of quarterbacking the deal back there, it even allows Jamali Riddle to play more free, right? Because he's kind of a wildcat kind of guy that just runs around and makes plays, makes tackles, gets his hands on footballs, and he can do that because he's got Tegan Wilk behind him. Holding it down. And so he gets people lined up correctly. You just can say so many things about him because he's such a smart football player. It's definitely a big deal having him back there.
Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst, visiting with us on the bye week. So 4-3, Kevin, through 7 games. Kind of an interesting, more than interesting, October schedule. 2 byes, 2 Thursday night games, no Saturday games. And I know we had a kind of a big picture discussion last bye week, but since then ECU's gone 1-1. And really at this point, they've won the games they should. They've lost the games they were underdogs in. Just, I don't know, if you could evaluate the first 7 games big picture, where do you feel like the program is at right now under Blake Harrell?
I think they're so close. I think they're so close. They're not a playoff caliber team right now. But I think another few pieces. You get Kate Hauser to come back next year. You have the running backs. You still have the receivers, not all of them, but you still have some good ones coming back. Offensive line, you have enough pieces there. Defense, you had to swap out a lot this year defensive wise. So you have a lot of good young players playing. I think they're very close to start to win games that they're not supposed to win, and that's when you hit the opportunity to get in the playoff is when you can go on a run and beat teams you're not supposed to beat. If you just look at Cignetti at Indiana, there's no chance Indiana has better players than Oregon, maybe Illinois, but the other top 5-10 teams, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, they don't have the same caliber players. But he's a heck of a coach, and he's getting everything out of those guys, and they are playing like the best team in the country right now. And so I think Coach Harrell gets the best out of his guys. Guys are playing hard. They hustle with the football. They make plays on defense. They make plays on offense. And guys may be playing better than they are capable of playing because they just enjoy playing for Coach Harrell. And so I think that's going to continue to be like that. They're just a player or two away from being that, that group of 5 team that everybody's looking at to potentially make a playoff.
5 games left in this season. Kevin Monroe with us. And, not out of the question ECU could get back in the conference title mix, but they need some things to go their way. They probably need to win out. Just tough games ahead, but I don't think there's one that's unwinnable for certain. I mean, Memphis's quarterback went down. We'll see how long he's out in the loss to UAB. So what would make for a successful second half of the season for you?
Well, as you said, all the games are winnable. If you find a way to win that Memphis game, I think you're still in the mix to win the championship. Obviously, you need something to happen with Tulane and some other teams, but I think if you win that Memphis game, that's huge for the program because it's another one of those games that's they may not be favored in, but it's right there for the taking. So I mean, you said there's 4 left. So
5 left.
3-1, 5 left. So 4-1. I think it's very doable. They could run the table, but 4-1, 3-2 at the worst. But I really don't see 2 losses out there unless they just have a bad outing. I mean, Temple could beat them. Temple on the road is always tough, and it's not because of the environment. It's just Temple. It's just the way it is playing at their house. They can play well. But I think they'll be favored in most games. I think they have a chance to run the table if they play like they can play. But I'm predicting probably 4-1.
And are you ready to get back to Saturday games, Kevin? I know that you obviously have a lot on your plate with your sons playing football, but I don't know, how have you felt about this weird? And it's like every home game has been Thursday night just about. So are you ready to get back to Saturday home games?
Lucky for me, I'm only doing home games, and so if Andrew Bays, I'm sure he hates having to get on the road on Thursdays and during the work week and fly somewhere. I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, it's getting home at 1-2 in the morning in Raleigh after being in town for a Thursday night game is a lot. I think all of our games have been night games for whatever reason, and so that's been different. But yeah, so I'm definitely ready to get back to Saturday games. Now, I guess the alternative is you have your Saturdays kind of free where you can sit home and watch college football. You don't get a chance to do that on Saturday games. So that's been kind of cool. But 4 Thursday night games is a bit much. If you have 2 in a season, that's doable. 4 is, I don't know how that happened, but that's a lot.
Yeah, it's been a lot. There's no doubt. Well, speaking of 2 a.m. in the morning, how about Stanford football? They beat Florida State. Obviously, your son, Marcus Monroe, committed to play there. And I know Frank Wright, kind of an interesting situation where he's basically like a 1-year interim. So, I don't know, are you staying up late for these games? Are you recording them? And then, kind of what's the expectation going into next year with probably a new coach coming in? What is, General Manager Andrew Luck, what have they kind of told you about that?
Yeah, no, we're all in, man. We have our Stanford gear, and we watch every game. And so, the recruiting coordinator talked to Marcus before the game, and he said, I think we can beat them. He said they're going to come in here a little bit, head between their legs, sad about the 3 straight losses and thinking they can beat us. And he said, we're at home. We play pretty well at home. I think we can beat them. And so, we watching the game thinking they could win it. And they started, I think they went up 10-0 early and kind of maintained that lead the majority of the game and were able to pull it out. They tried to give it away late, but it was a great victory. And we're sitting there at 2 in the morning after the game is ending. And the coaches FaceTime Marcus from the locker room. And so he got to enjoy kind of the celebration via FaceTime. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, we're excited about it, even in June, to head out there. Obviously, you never want to send your child so far away from home, but he can't beat this opportunity. And so, yeah, we're thrilled. We're more than excited. And with Andrew Luck, he said from the very beginning, he said, "I own the roster." He said, "You're my recruit. I don't care what coach is here. You're my recruit. So if you're in good standing with me, you're in good standing with the program. That's all you need to worry about." He said, "I'll bring a good coach in here, but even when I bring a new coach in, I'll maintain the roster." So that's been what we've been leaning on and hanging our hat on. So we're excited about it.
Looking forward to that for sure. And last thing, Kevin, your Dallas Cowboys at my Denver Broncos this Sunday. Who do you think gets the victory? Can Dallas win this one on the road? I don't think they've won in Denver since like the 1990s. So I don't know. Can they win this one?
Listen, I had the same conversation with Clip just this past week. Who knows? I mean, if the Cowboy team that shows up that went to Carolina and laid an egg shows up, then you guys will beat us by 2 touchdowns. But if the team that played against Washington on Sunday shows up, then it'll be a tough game for Denver. So we'll see how it goes. You never know with the Cowboys.
No doubt. That's what makes it fun. You never know in the sporting world in general many of the times. Well, Kevin, we appreciate the time as always, man, and really appreciate the insight. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. I go.
That is Kevin Monroe, ECU Sports Network analyst, always gracious with his time on the program. All right, this is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday. We will be right back.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU Athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Like all pirates, Stephen Igo is loyal and bold. He may also have a touch of scurvy. Back to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. We've talked a lot of East Carolina football. We're going to jump back into some basketball real quick. Of course, we have Media Day on Tuesday. We'll continue to play some of these interviews throughout the remainder of the week. But let's hear from Eli DeLaurier, Providence transfer, big acquisition in the offseason by ECU basketball, and enjoyed sitting down with him. He was a 4-star recruit out of high school, didn't play a ton at Providence the last couple of years, but ECU high on his energy, Coach Schwartz high on his basketball mind, and he has the ability to shoot the ball as well. So here's our conversation with Eli DeLaurier. So the transition to ECU, man, what's it been like on and off the court thus far?
On and off the court, it's been a great experience. I love the city of Greenville. It's definitely more my pace, a little bit slower. But the campus and the people have been great. I've been very lucky to find, like, my roommate Corey. He's been awesome. We've grown very close together. Even the whole team. We hang out as a pack a lot, and it's just a great culture.
I was asking him, like, how important is it to build that chemistry? Because, you know, you guys will go through adversity, and like, you got to believe in the guy next to you. So do you feel like y'all have done a lot of that?
Absolutely. And I know, like, we're going to have our own struggles. Every team does. There's going to be mistakes. But knowing that every man on this roster is going to have my back and I'm going to have theirs, it's a great feeling. It's comforting in knowing that every man on the court is not only fighting for how many points they can score, but how many assists. It's, are we going to win this game by any means necessary, even if I'm not the one scoring the ball? So it's a great feeling.
I know you went to Providence. The ECU, they recruited you a little bit out of high school, or at least Schwartz said he watched you a little bit at least. So, and IJ Poole being here, like, how much did that familiarity help you in the recruitment process?
A lot. I love Coach IJ at Providence. We grew close together, and he was a great person. And even though they came from George Mason, who they were also recruiting me as there well, so I knew them coming out of high school as well. So knowing that I have someone that I can trust here as well, and getting to know Coach Schwartz a lot better on my visit was a great experience. And I met Gio as well on my visit. We had the visit at the same time, so like, it was a hard to pass up. So I committed on the visit.
You know, you're playing mainly the 4, right?
Yes, sir.
And then I know you can play the 5 too, but and in Providence, did you mainly play the 5, or was it?
Yes, sir.
So do you feel like the 4 is kind of a better fit for your skill set?
I do. In Providence, they played 4 guards and, like, 1 pure back-to-the-basket 5. I mean, which, like, they pop out to the corners and whatnot. But here, I feel like my skills are being put to better use, where I can help facilitate the offense, you know, backdoor cuts, dribble handoffs, pick pop, pick post. And it's a great feeling to know that, like, a coach that has a good game plan for me to excel at. It's amazing.
We know you can shoot the 3. Is that something you feel like you can bring in that role, especially?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've prided myself on my ability to shoot the 3 in the past, but I'd say it's felt the best it's felt in a long time, really ever. So I'm excited to be able to help and, you know, contribute to the team in that manner. Whenever we need to knock down 3, I'm happy to do so.
We know, I mean, just obviously watching sports, so much is confidence-based. I mean, do you feel like coming here has kind of brought that confidence back into your game?
Very much so.
Yeah.
You know, playing prominent minutes coming out of high school and in AAU, and then having 2 years where it wasn't really – I mean, I redshirted my first year, but I was doing 5 minutes a game last year. I mean, any player really is going to have their confidence shaken a little bit. But Coach Schwartz and everyone else here has been really, like, adamant and helpful with getting that confidence back and being able to play, you know, no matter the situation.
Y'all scrimmage Wake the other day. I know, you know, just what did you learn from that experience and where you guys can grow?
I learned that there's a lot to be excited for about this season. That we had a lot of great, like, plays and a lot of great, you know, team chemistry, knowing that, like, there's a lot to look forward to. So I'm excited.
Who has impressed you, whether it be new guys or returning guys?
Honestly, I don't know if there's anyone that hasn't impressed me. Like, 1 through 15, 16, freshman to senior. Like, Gio, his improvement has gotten, it's amazing. Like, I think that, like, what he's, like, been doing on the court has been amazing. And Jordan, Riley, and Jay, they've all been amazing and, like, showing off what they can do and what they're great at. So I'm excited, and I know that there are people that this team can lean on heavily.
He is Eli DeLaurier. Eli, we appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me.
Best of luck.
All right, there is Eli DeLaurier from Providence, and really, to me, one of the biggest wild cards of this roster. I just don't really know what to expect here. I'm intrigued. You're talking about a guy who's a 4-star recruit out of prep school and can shoot the 3, 38% in his senior year of high school. Not on the biggest volume, but he can knock it down. He's 6'10". You heard him there. He feels more comfortable at the 4 than the 5. I think the system plays to his strengths a little bit more. And I don't know, Phil. We asked Coach, I can't remember who asked him at the press conference about what he brings to the table, and Coach Schwartz mentioned his basketball mind, and we'll see, how much that plays into it. He could start at the 4, it could be Reed Casey, but interested to see what Eli brings to the table this year for the Pirates, because I feel like what you're going to get out of Riley, Woodard, LeBeau, Imazuru, maybe Calker to an extent, but Eli feels like a wild card.
He does, and so just talking to him a little bit about him too. He mentioned the reason why he became a great three-point shooter to me when I was talking to him, and he said it was because he was the number 3 of 4 brothers. So his brothers, by default, were bigger than him and more athletic than him. So he had to find a way to distance himself, right? So he learned how to step out and shoot the 3. But with that being said, he's still a forward. He's not going to be this high volume, go out there and get you 4 or 5 3-pointers per game. So I think his game's very balanced. That's what's the good thing about this, Steven. We heard about some of that during that interview. Like he is a forward. He can play inside, but he can play outside as well. So the question is, does he find a way to become dominant at either one of those things? And I think that's going to be the question for this team. And he's one of those things, if he can become dominant, either a dominant three-point shooter or a dominant guy going to the basket, then he could be the number 1 or number 2 guy for this team. I think he's got the athleticism, like Coach said. He's got the high basketball IQ to do it. He comes from a basketball family. His whole family's played collegiately. His older brother played at Duke. And then if he doesn't pan out where he is that guy, I still think he's one of those guys that you just trust to be part of the flow of the game. He's going to play well defensively. He can guard in the perimeter. He can guard inside. So he's going to be a big, vital piece to this team. The question is he a piece or is he one of the guys?
Yeah, I think that's really well said, because he's going to play minutes, and it's just, is he going to be a guy that scores? Is he going to be a guy who goes in as a role player? I tell you what, let's get a break in. We'll hear from Isaiah Mbang, the William & Mary transfer, on the other side. We'll wrap up the show as well then. Isaiah Mbang, we'll hear from him after this.
Hurry to Greenville Toyota for model year-end savings on a Camry. Just $229 a month. $229 a month. Or new RAV4, $279 a month. $279 a month. Only during our model year-end move-out. Right now at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
It's Greenville Toyota's model year-end move-out. Save on a new Corolla, just $149 a month. $149 a month. Or new Tacoma, $249 a month. $249 a month. Now get a move on and save at Greenville Toyota.
Like all pirates, Stephen Igo is loyal and bold. He may also have a touch of scurvy. Back to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Final segment here. We've talked a lot of ECU football. We're talking ECU basketball right now. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios. We heard from Eli DeLaurier. Let's hear from William and Mary transfer Isaiah Mbang as well. Now, Mbang came in a bit of an under-the-radar transfer, but a guy who was quietly an all-rookie team selection a year ago with the Tribe. 5.7 points, 3.4 assists, and 1.5 steals. Led the Tribe last season in assists with 110 and steals with 48 in only 19 minutes played per game. So here's Isaiah Mbang talking about his transition to the Pirates. All right, here with Isaiah Mbang, William and Mary transfer, and just talk about your transition here, how it's gone thus far.
I feel like it's been going good so far. Summer, just being around a lot more like experienced guys who played at higher levels. It's been great for me just picking up little things from guys like Corey, Tybo, Jordan, Jay. So it's been a fun experience so far.
Take us through the recruitment process. I mean, you had a good freshman year at William & Mary. Just what led you into the portal, and then what led you to East Carolina?
Just kind of looking for more like opportunity, I would say, and just playing at a higher level. Something I was looking forward to do, and I felt like ECU was the right place for that.
You and Corey come in as guys who can play on the ball or off the ball. Just what has that dynamic been like? Y'all seem to both be guys who are going to play a lot.
Yeah, it's been fun so far. Me and Corey have been playing well in practice together, and just going against each other. It's been fun. Just like they say, iron sharpens iron. So just going at it every day with him is definitely making me a better player.
You had a bunch of steals last year, and obviously Coach Schwartz is a defensive-minded coach. So, what goes into getting in passing lanes? Is that an art? Is it just instinct? What is it?
I would say some of it's instinct, and then some of it's just like wanting it. Like, you got to want it. So if I see the ball, I'm gonna try to go get it. So yeah.
Toughness kind of is the motto of Coach Schwartz. Do you feel like you fit that coming in even as a new guy, like just defensive minded, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And I think even being here, that's grown even more. Just the competitiveness in practice, going at everyone, and just the fire that the coaching staff brings. I think that's elevated my toughness even more.
Where have you seen your offensive game grow, since coming here, or just since you started as a freshman?
Just being more confident. I feel like here my confidence has grown even more. They instill a lot of confidence in us. They know we put in a lot of work, so they want us to show it. So just using that confidence has been big.
Who are some of the guys that have impressed you, since coming here, whether they're new or returning guys to ECU?
One that sticks out, probably Jay Woodard. He's been real good for us so far. Another guy that I like to learn from a lot, take things from his game. A bigger guard, but just the way he gets to the paint, his pace. So yeah.
He is Isaiah Mbang. Isaiah, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. All right, there's Isaiah Mbang again, William & Mary transfer. You can hear more interviews with guys like Isaiah and many of the other Pirates on either our Hoist the Colors YouTube page as well as the 94.3 The Game YouTube page. Philip and Chris were out there getting interviews as well yesterday. So Isaiah Mbang, another guy, as we bring back in Philip Pilkington here, that looking forward to seeing what he contributes. I liked it when they signed him because, Corey Calker, again, on paper, was kind of your top acquisition at point guard. So you go out, you get him. We like his upside. But Isaiah, it's one of those things where, all right, now you have a backup point guard or a guy who can challenge Corey and push him. You also have a guy who can play off the ball, maybe a little bit more of a defensive-minded guard given his steals. I haven't seen these guys a ton, so it's hard to really say. But he's done it at the Division I level, and he's done it for a pretty good team. William & Mary, for those that don't follow, I think won around 20 games last year, finished high in the CAA. So
I don't know, Philip. I liked his demeanor too, and I'm interested to see kind of how the Calker and Isaiah Mbang, duo, however you want to phrase it, plays out as they get the season going.
It's interesting. When I remember the thing that stood out most to me when I talked to him personally was his reiterating that he has learned both the 1 and the 2 guard, offensively and defensively, and that he feels very comfortable when called upon to play either one of those positions. So, yes, can he challenge Corey to be that guy to push Corey? Absolutely. Could he challenge Jayshane Woodard? Absolutely. And then also, if a guy goes down, I feel like you can plug him and play him wherever you need to. Just like you said, his demeanor, he wants to be here. He wants to be on the court. And I guarantee you, obviously he's too small, but if they stuck him at the 5 and said, go learn to play the 5 position, he would bust his tail to go do it. He's that kind of guy. You can just tell it in the few minutes you spend with him. So, look, man, I'm no doubt that he will be a vital piece on the court, but also one of those guys that the younger guys really look up to because he's a workhorse.
Yeah, and it seems like a no-nonsense guy, as you mentioned, and a lot of versatility with the guards on this roster. You can go small with Calker and Mbang. You can, obviously, if you got Jayshane Woodard and Jordan Riley out there, those are two of the biggest guards. Jayshane in terms of length and Jordan in terms of physicality in the American. So you can go big, you can go small. You also have Tybo Bailey and LaDontae Felton for depth there. Patrick D'Arcy, the freshman from Australia, could play a role as the season goes on, too. So we touched on it yesterday, but I really like the versatility on paper of this roster. I hate that Dahi Quinn is out, another physical guard that could have played a role this year. He's out this season with an injury, but a lot of different options at the guard position for the Pirates, and we'll start to see how it plays out come November 4th. We are out of time on this program. Tomorrow, John David Baker, ECU offensive coordinator, scheduled to join us. We'll also catch up with Kason Rameli, get his thoughts on the coming season and football thus far. So looking forward to that. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks to Philip as well for his insight and Kevin Monroe. We'll see you tomorrow.